All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Wednesday, October 15th, right here on your Daily Fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. The man taking the big drink out of the big cup is Jake Jimerson, and this is All in Horns presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. And Jake, vibes are much higher this week, just in general. Vibes are higher. Vibes feel good, feeling real good. A Red River shootout win can do so much for morale.
It can right a lot of wrongs.
It can right a lot of wrongs, my man. I am feeling good this week. I've been in a good mood. You and I, we've got playful banter yet again. I think last week I was so depressed I just didn't even want to just give you a hard time. Now I don't. It's just like things are starting to right themselves. There's balance in the universe, and the Texas Longhorns are 4-2 overall. They're back in the AP top 25, and they are 1-1 and very much in a position that, dare I say it, control their own destiny.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Texas does still fully control their own destiny. Maybe not technically for the SEC title game.
That's actually not true. So there are 3 undefeated teams, 2 of which play each other. So someone has to lose somewhere along the line.
But then they would be in a potential tiebreaker.
And then Texas would then also have to beat A&M, which would also, depending on how their game went. Yeah, there could be, technically, I think there could be 2 or 3 one-loss SEC teams still remaining. But again, it would come down to Texas would still have to control their own destiny in terms of winning out as things still stand. Now, Jake, do I think that it is going to take a one-loss team to make it to the SEC championship? Honestly, I think there might be a 2-loss team that makes it to in SEC play that makes it to the SEC championship game.
Yeah, it just kind of matters who all plays who. I can't remember it off the top. I know A&M. It would be hard. It's going to be tough for them to blow it because they don't really play anyone outside of Mizzou and Texas. I don't count LSU. LSU's not good this year, and I will stand on that until they've lost their
A&M has a roadblock against LSU. I'll give them that much.
I was just talking about that. I don't count LSU.
No. I'm saying, like, historically, for whatever reason, they have a mental block when it comes to LSU.
Yeah, I think this LSU team is not good.
I agree. I agree. We've thought that in the past, and for whatever reason, it's at LSU,
and hopefully that is the case this year. But they seem like one of the bigger threats to be in there. But luckily, Texas plays them, so Texas has some control over that. But that game could end up having a lot of stakes in it at the end of the year again. Because
can you believe we are 3 weeks going into week 4 of SEC play, and there's only 3 undefeated SEC teams remaining in conference play?
Yeah, I mean it truly just has been kind of eating each other alive this year, and it's I don't think there's necessarily any elite teams in the SEC this year. I really don't. Georgia really hasn't looked the part. I guess maybe Alabama has, but it's hard to get that Florida State stank off and just forget that happened. And I mean, they very easily could have lost that Missouri game if Missouri's offensive coordinator didn't forget that he had Ahmad Hardy. Just, by the way, people complain about Sark's play calling. That was just malpractice done by Missouri.
Well, Missouri ran the ball total designed runs 17 times. I think they ran it 9 times in the second half. You want to know what Alabama ran it in the second half? The second half stats, 9-25.
And it was a close game the whole way through. There was no, like, Missouri was trying to catch up. There's no.
It was a 1-possession game,
and Ahmad Hardy was running it well. It truly, that their offense coordinator lost them that football game.
Yeah,
and it's as simple as that.
But so I really did. I mean, I was even more upset because I had Ahmad Hardy anytime touchdown that didn't pay out.
I did as well. It caused me to miss. I would have hit on 2 big entries on underdog if it was not for Ahmad Hardy just not getting the football.
Not getting the ball. I was beside myself trying to figure that one out.
And so you have Missouri that has looked like a threat. They've certainly looked the part, but you have an offensive coordinator who doesn't know what the hell he's doing whenever it gets to Saturday for play calling. And then you got Ole Miss. The highest ranked team in the SEC right now is Texas A&M. Ole Miss, I think, is another team a lot of people would have up there, but they just barely hung on to beat a terrible Washington State team. We'll figure out a lot. We'll know about Ole Miss after the next 2 weeks. They go at Georgia, at Oklahoma next 2 weeks. So we'll figure out whether they're in the running or not after these couple weeks. I don't think Tennessee has the defense to do it this year. They dropped the game to Georgia. They won 2 very close games in Mississippi State and Arkansas, and I think they're going to get it handed to them this year or this week at Alabama. But their schedule also is pretty easy. They have Alabama, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt left.
Right now, Jake, as things stand in the AP Top 25, which do not ever base who's going to go to the playoffs based on that. Right now, as things stand, and this is not really counting a G5 team that has yet to be ranked in the top 12. So you add in a G5 team, which the highest ranked team is South Florida at the moment. So the top 11 teams, the SEC has Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. That's 6 of the top 12 teams coming from the SEC. Now, will they sort out? Yes. Bama still has to play LSU and Tennessee. A&M still has to play LSU. Things will work themselves out as they always do. But where do you – I mean, realistically, how many teams from the SEC do you see making this year's playoffs? I mean, I think A&M, I think Ole Miss. I think it could be – I think Alabama's going to make the playoffs. And probably Georgia. So there's 4 teams right there that I very well could see make the playoffs.
I think there's a decent chance Georgia doesn't
I
make the
agree.
playoffs.
I agree. They could be on the outside looking in. I agree.
They could lose to Ole Miss. They could lose to Florida. I doubt they lose at Mississippi State, but it is on the road at Mississippi State. Obviously, Texas will get a crack at them, and then Georgia Tech could definitely beat Georgia this year.
Yeah.
So definitely still some losable games on the schedule for Georgia. Realistically, I find it hard to believe there would be more than 4. But the Big Ten is kind of screwy this year. You kind of just assumed Penn State was a shoo-in with their schedule. They are obviously out completely. Nebraska is still in it. I know they're only number 25, but they only have 1 loss, and they're just now in the rankings, which was surprising to me considering they're 5-1. USC is still in it. I don't think they can make it with the defense they have.
Guess what, Jake? Guess what? They're going to rear their ugly head at the end of the year. Independent, Notre Dame. You know they will.
I've never wanted USC to win so badly until this weekend. This Notre Dame team has no business being in the playoffs.
If they beat USC, who
the
else?
The fact they're already almost ranked in the top 12 when they've lost to the 2 competent teams they've played this year is a joke. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm shooting the messenger, though.
Okay. You can shoot the messenger. That's fair. Valid.
But again, the rankings just make no sense. You have Notre Dame sitting in almost the top 12, and they've lost to the 2 competent teams they've placed. But yet you have Nebraska just now, and I'm not one to stand on the table for Nebraska, and I don't think they're overly that good this year. They're also very likely could win out because their toughest game left is USC. That is by far their toughest game left, unless you count at Penn State a tough game, which I don't think we do anymore. But you have, Nebraska ranked behind Cincinnati, who they beat on a neutral field, which I already went on a tangent about in yesterday's episode. But Nebraska, to me, looks like a legit playoff threat just because of their schedule. You have Oregon, who I think will more than likely make it. Indiana, you might as well just pin them in now, not pencil, pin. They're in, and they deserve it this year.
Absolutely. Even if they lose to Ohio State, they're in.
Yeah, no, that win at Oregon, in which they don't even play Ohio State in the regular season. They don't have a ranked team left on the schedule. Their toughest game left is at Penn State.
Yeah, and that would also, I mean, and you make the Big Ten championship, you lose to Ohio State.
For your first loss, when you have a win at Eugene, you have a thrashing of Illinois. I mean, just a thrashing of
Jake,
Illinois.
I'm looking. Here's a dark horse for you that I don't think a lot of people are really putting a whole lot of stock in, as they shouldn't. That's fine. They haven't played anybody. They don't have a real notable win. There's an undefeated team in the top 15, BYU, who has still yet to play a ranked opponent and beat a ranked opponent, but they are undefeated. They've got number 23 Utah this week. They've got at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, and then at Cincinnati, who is also ranked number 24 at the moment. If they win out, I mean, obviously, if they're undefeated, they'll get in. But could they afford a loss and a Big 12 championship appearance and then be a second team in for the Big 12?
I'll give I have a BYU take saved for our prediction day. So I'm just gonna.
Does it have anything to do with premarital sex?
It does not.
Okay.
It does not. It does have to do with what I think of them as a football team. You're gonna have to tune into Friday's episode. You're gonna have to wait until we record Friday's episode, because I have thoughts on BYU and the Utah game this weekend, and it's thoughts on both teams.
Okay. Hey, Jake, before anything, I know we're kind of just randomly doing an overview that we didn't mean to get into. Anything else that jumps out to you at this point in the season? Obviously, there's still Vanderbilt. There's still Oklahoma. There's still teams with one loss that very much in the mix of everything. But again, the schedules that we're talking about, these are teams that are very likely to win out from here on out. Oklahoma, I don't believe is going to win out. Vanderbilt, I don't believe is going to win out. There are teams that have one loss that I just don't see a realistic chance of them really threatening for a top 12 spot.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give my hot take real quick that just based off watching games so far this season, I don't think an SEC team will win the national title again.
No,
I don't think an SEC team will make the national title this year.
I think that's bathwater warm.
I think there is 3 as of right now, based off the play I've watched. In my opinion, there's 3 national title contenders: Ohio State, Miami, Indiana. No one else has impressed me enough yet to be a national title contender level team.
Yeah. I would, that win in Oregon, I mean, that's big time.
And what
Indiana.
they did to Illinois too is impressive. I mean, 63-10.
It's hard to argue Indiana. I mean, they've got 3 votes to be the number 1 team in the country, and that's with Ohio State receiving 50 of them. So, it's hard to ignore what Indiana has done up to this point. And just to even fathom the thought of, they're a legitimate national championship contender still is blowing my mind right now. It's hard to even, I'm trying to convince myself that it's true. But yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. Ohio State, Miami, Indiana. Those are the 3 best looking teams in the country as of today.
I'm not, I get it. I get what you're saying, but that is incorporating the name Indiana football.
You know what? I'm going to add a team. I'm going to add a team, and it is an SEC team, but the only team I'm going to add is Alabama. I'm impressed. I know, honestly, Jake, that Mizzou game, with coaching malpractice, maybe they win that game. But in my opinion, it never felt like Mizzou really had it. It felt like a 2 or 3 possession game, but it was only a 1 possession game.
Yeah, these last 3 wins in a row have been really impressive for Bama. At Georgia, home against Vanderbilt, where they dominated the second half, and at Missouri.
This is with a banged up Ryan Wilson. Ryan Wilson is, Wilson.
And I will say, to further your point, Ty Simpson's the best quarterback in the country right now.
Yeah, and Ryan Williams not playing great. Jam Miller got hurt in the middle of that Mizzou game. They still finished it out. If they go on and they get through the rest of their schedule with maybe one other loss,
I don't think they lose a game to end their schedule. Tennessee, they're a better team then. It's at home. At South Carolina means nothing now. The South Carolina team is not good. Cocktober is meaningless to me at this point. It's dead. LSU, it's at home, and
They
LSU's not a good team this year.
all their hard games are at home. They're all
I
a
mean,
tough
at
to lose to.
Auburn might be the trickiest game just because of what that rivalry is.
It's an Iron Bowl. Yep.
And the home team typically plays very well in that series. So
Yeah.
I don't see it. If Alabama plays halfway to their potential, and as long as they don't have effort issues like they did against Florida State, I don't see them losing a game in the rest of the schedule. I really don't.
All right, Jake. Hey, let's go ahead and hear from Underdog. And we did something a little bit different this week. We have a combined entry. This is an all-in horns entry, and I'm actually really excited for it. And we'll reveal that after this. Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code HORNS to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code HORNS. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money. All right, so I'm going to give it away before we go, but Jake will alternate, and we will give the reasonings why we made these two picks. So you have two picks, I have two picks, and there they are right there. And as you can see right there, a $15 entry can get you $131 in rewards from Underdog. And Jake, go ahead, give your first entry that you like.
So I went down the Texas route for the first one, tried to keep it somewhat to Texas since Texas game wasn't up yet for me. Xavier Worthy to go higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. I feel like he's starting to be very heavily incorporated in that offense and kind of starting to find his own in the NFL. And then I like Jeremiah Love to go higher than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. I expect that USC Notre Dame game to be pretty high scoring. And USC still has problems stopping the run. So it's hard to imagine Love not getting a touchdown in that game.
Even a goal line, like a 1-yard touchdown. Like that's what I like.
It'll be a long one. He'll have a couple long ones.
It'll be a long one. Yeah, Jake, I'm a big fan of Puka Nacua. Obviously, he's the number one wide receiver in the NFL this year. And it's about volume at this point. I mean, the amount of targets the guy gets, one of them is bound to be towards the end zone. And so, yeah, I like Puka Nacua with higher than a rushing or receiving touchdown. That'd be receiving touchdown more than likely. And then Malachi Toney, Miami wide receiver. He's I believe he's a true freshman, if that's correct. He's been on a tear, and I think Miami coming off of a bye, a little bit of a rest week. And so, yeah, over essentially 70 yards or more for Malachi Toney. I think that that is definitely doable, especially in the ACC. And they basically have a free run at things for the remainder of the season, does Miami. So there it is. If you guys want to ride with us, please do. Feel free to join in. That is the All-In Horns entry brought to you by Underdog. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games. 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. All right, Jake, let's give a little sneak peek, a brief look at the Kentucky Wildcats traveling to Kentucky. I think this is the second time that the Texas Longhorns have ever traveled to the state of Kentucky for a football game. And the first one came back in like the 50s against Louisville. And so been a long time since Texas has been in the state playing a football game. Jake, tell us what you know about them.
So kind of I've watched a little bit of Kentucky games over this week or started this week. And then just kind of done some diving into statistics, reading what other people think about them. And Kentucky's honestly kind of similar to what they were last year. They're a pretty physical team. They've hung in there with some good teams.
Can I tell you how I kind of explain Kentucky for people who have maybe never seen or heard of a Kentucky football team before? I say that they're kind of the Dollar General version of Oklahoma.
Yeah, they have a Stoops, but he's not the good Stoops. They
But it's
have
just they've got a good physical defense. Their offense struggles, and I think this year they've even got a bit of a scrambling quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, or a guy who can at least move.
it's Cutter Boley, the guy who came. It was Calzada to start the season. He got hurt. Boley was better to begin with. Don't know why they started Calzada. Boley's been pretty good, and so Calzada has been essentially benched, even though he's healthy again.
But their offense struggles, offensive line struggle in the run game a little. I mean, they try to establish the run game. Their just offense is incapable.
I think their offensive line's better than Oklahoma's this year.
You think so?
To be honest, they have a pretty decent run game. They are a bend but don't score offense, I guess. Like they do pretty
They'll move the ball, but they're not
yardage,
going to finish in points.
But they're really bad at finishing in points.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been one of their bugaboos this year. But they run the ball pretty good. And they've ran the ball pretty consistently this year. And part of that is because their offensive line isn't bad. They're a much better running team than Oklahoma this year. Not as good in the air as Oklahoma, though Boley had success against Texas. When he came in the game, their passing offense came alive a little bit. So it is something this will be different. Texas gets to prepare for him. He's not coming in randomly. That game was already kind of done at that point as well. So it's different circumstances than last year, but still he did have success when he came in. But you look at their
31-14. I think he got a touchdown late.
Yeah, well, they made it like a 2-possession game at some point, because I remember everyone was melting down.
Yeah, well, I think it was.
Believe it or not,
like 24-14. Texas ended up winning 31-14 or something along those lines, I want to say.
Yeah, I think Texas was up 21. I'm pulling up to the box score right now just so we can not be guessing. Texas was up. Or actually, it's just a close game for a little while. It was 14-7. Then Texas went up to 24-7 right before half. And then it was 24-14. And then Texas scored a touchdown to put it away. Yeah. But it was a fumble return for a touchdown that had happened was the other touchdown. So they only have one offensive. Again, you think back to games and remembering it's such a classic to look back at a Texas game, be like, I remember everyone was melting down thinking we were letting the game go. And then you look back and you're like, that was never competitive.
It was never a game in which Texas was going to lose at any point. Yeah.
Yeah. But people just expect to win by 50 every game. But this Kentucky team's a team that can kind of hang in there, but obviously haven't gotten the win. They only lost by 7 to Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin did apologize for not covering. I appreciated that because I had them covering. And then they hung in it with Georgia for a little while. Georgia ended up kind of running away with it. I think the South Carolina game, they went up early in the first quarter and then got demolished in the second quarter. They were up 10-7 in the first, lost the second quarter 21-0.
Yeah.
And then the second half was just 7-3 South Carolina. So they're 2-3 at the end of the day, and they haven't won an SEC game. They're a team Texas should beat. I do think the 12.5 point spread is a lot of points for Kentucky being at home, a night game. They typically are good to stay in these type of games longer than they should. For reference, South Carolina and Georgia were both on the road. Ole Miss was at home. So their better performance in SEC so far was a home game. Then you look at just their I just kind of looked at their running stats per game to see, like, is their yards per carry on the season just elevated from the Eastern Michigan and the Toledo game? And it's really not. Dowdle, who's their backup essentially now to McGowan, who was he was running back at OU previously. In the Toledo game, Dowdle was at 9.2 yards a carry. McGowan was at 4.3. Ole Miss, McGowan was at 6.2. Eastern Michigan, McGowan at 5.8. South Carolina, McGowan at 6.6 yards per carry. In Georgia, McGowan at 4 yards per carry. So even against Georgia, they had 4 yards per carry, which I'm pretty sure all Texas fans would have killed for Texas to be able to run at that clip last year against Georgia. So just to give you an idea, they've pretty consistently gotten good production out of their running backs. And so that'll be the whole key for the defense this week is pretty simple. You got to stop the run. Make
Yeah.
Kentucky beat you through the air.
Well, I think Sark does a really good job of getting this team at least up for the lower opponents. Now, they may not always start off like super hot and just blow the brakes off of them right from the get go. Very rarely do Texas games kind of go that way. Um, but I do want to remind everybody before people start to freak out, this Kentucky team over the last 2-3 years, every year, if people forget last year, they lost to Georgia, I think by 1 point or by 2 points. I think it was like 14-12 or something bizarre, a weird score, very low scoring game. Again, that was a one possession game against Ole Miss this year. They hang in it almost every year, and they're probably good for at least 1 to 2 SEC wins, which they have yet to get this year. So they're still looking to get that first win. They are a much better home team. It feels like to me they're always kind of due for a home night game win against an SEC opponent that they probably shouldn't beat. And that's exactly the type of game Texas is going into. So I really, before giving any predictions or anything, one of my biggest keys to victory is take this game freaking seriously. Don't have a hangover.
Yeah, and Sark said it in his press conference. He said, this is an SEC championship game, which I love him saying that because it is. Every game from now on is an SEC championship game. And that has to be the mindset of the team. You've used up a loss in a game you shouldn't have lost with the Florida game, because they absolutely should not have lost that game. They're a better team than Florida. And they played piss poor and lost because of it. They can't have another game like that. And this team is so young that if you show up with not your at least your B game,
yeah,
they can lose to any team. A C game from Texas last year wins these games. A C game from Texas this year can lose you these games because they're not as good of a team as they were last year. They're just not. Not yet. Do they have the potential to get there? Sure. But until you get consistent offensive line play, we've seen it for really just a half. I would say maybe 3 quarters, because they did start to find it in that second quarter.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen it for a full game against good competition yet.
No.
And so not that Kentucky's great competition, but they do have a defensive line that isn't just going to be easily moved around.
They've always had a good front seven. They're always a physical team. They're always going to have a solid defense. And I think that this offense, at least against Oklahoma, proved to me that they showed a little bit of balls. I mean, they just sacked up at least in the second half and said, we're not going to get pushed around anymore. We're going to be the more physical team, and we're going to dictate this game. And them showing that makes me feel as though they have the potential to control this game at the line of scrimmage. Now, does that mean that Kentucky's just going to bend over and take it? No, they're absolutely not. They're too physical and they're too prideful, coached under Mark Stoops to be that type of team. So I expect this game to be a knockout, drag out, slugfest, probably a little sloppy to start things off. But it's going to take Texas to make big plays on defense, force turnovers, give their offense the ball in favorable field positions, and eventually they'll just wear down Kentucky and they'll be the better team and they'll come out victorious. But again, I don't expect this team, and I'm going to stay off X, the Everything app. Everything happens on X, because it's going to get ugly from the fan base after Kentucky keeps this thing close, even probably going into the second half.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that this game is close in the first half. Kentucky's just not a team who's been getting blown out early. The South Carolina game did get away from them in the second quarter. It's an away game. And it's different. The crowd, the crowd's going to be revved up for Texas to come into town. The team is going to be kind of that backs against the wall mentality. And Texas coming off a huge win, an emotional huge win. Everything points towards the first half being ugly and close. And even if it's halftime and Texas is up 10, everyone will be saying this team sucks, fire Sarkisian, hire a new offensive coordinator, bench Arch, bench Wisner, everyone should go to the portal, everyone sucks, this team's never going to win again, and all of OU will be forgotten.
Yes.
and then Texas could end up winning by 30 and it still won't matter. But yeah, my biggest thing, honestly, that I want out of this game, other than a Texas win, can we please get Wisner enough carries so he can be the leading rusher on this team? I am sick of looking at the Gamecast thing, preview the game, and Arch Manning being the leading rusher.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
It's pretty sickening. And not to say he's not a bad rusher. It's just
no. But if I was Sark, I would just have the screenshot of the leaders, and I would post it on every freaking offensive lineman's locker. Be like, this is your fault.
Yeah. Which they did play better. We're gonna get into that in tomorrow's episode about the offensive line play, because I know you're itching to get to it. Before we log off this episode and we wrap this thing up, I want to know if you saw Arch's post game show about them, if he's blocking out the noise or how he's dealing with criticisms and things like that. The press, and I can tell you right now, it was Anwar Robinson. He asked him straight up, "Hey, what'd you think about the New York Times calling you the biggest flop?" And he goes, "Well, I wasn't aware of that until you just asked me that question. So I guess I know about it now."
He seemed genuine about it.
Yeah.
I really think he didn't know about it.
Yeah. And he goes, I just try to block out the noise. And, hey, we have freedom of speech. That's what makes this country great. And everybody is entitled to their opinion. Everyone has the right to express their opinion. But yeah, no, I didn't hear about it until just now. And then somebody else asked a question of, how do you deal with all the criticisms from the outside? He goes, "Man, I'm really trying to block this out. I had no idea what you guys are talking about."
The one thing he did say was, "I know there is noise because I get about 100 texts a day just being like, you got to just keep going, keep moving forward."
Yeah,
he's like, "I figure there's a lot of noise."
He's like, "I'm trying to block it out, but you guys keep bringing the noise to me. I'm trying to block this noise out, but you're bringing the noise to me to where I can no longer block it out." So he obviously has a sense of humor about it because he's a Manning. I don't know if I've ever heard a Manning talk without having some sort of personality and sense of humor about things. So he, it's in his genes, it's in his bloodline to take things with a grain of salt. He seems like he's handling everything perfectly, man. I'm proud of how young he is and how well he is able to handle all of the scrutiny, regardless of his play on the field, which I think, by the way, has gotten better every single week since
the
UTEP
quarterback.
Game.
He's a good quarterback right now. I think everyone, the expectations were just for him to be incredible from the start. And he had the UTEP game and the Ohio State game were bad, but he has been just getting better and better. The Florida game, he was the only reason they had any points on the board, especially when that offensive line play, people are like, Quinn doesn't lose that game. I'm like, Quinn would have gotten a pass off in that game.
Also, Quinn is probably hurt by the first quarter. He's not as tough as Arch.
Well, and just
can't take a beating.
Quinn never played behind an offensive line this bad, and he doesn't have the pocket presence that Arch did. Because as much as we talk about how well the offensive line played against OU for a lot of that game, there was 25 pressures in that game and 1 sack. That's because of Arch Manning,
right? Yeah,
I mean, Arch was fantastic in that OU game for not having a crazy box score. Which, by the way, he lost a ton of yardage from some just poorly executed screenplays where he lost a ton of passing yardage. He really should have probably had around 200 yards, but
close to it anyway.
Arch keeps getting better. He just ever since the UTEP game, all he's done is get better. All he's done is show that those mechanical flaws at the start of the year were just that. They were outliers and they were just nerves and kind of him getting in his own head. He keeps getting better. Everyone wanted to crown him a Heisman before the season. Everyone wants to crown him a bust now. And everyone who wants to crown him a bust after a few games, I said it a couple weeks ago, he's going to look really stupid, whether it be by the end of this year or whether it be next year. They're all going to look very stupid. I'm more confident than ever since watching the rewatch, because Arch Manning was excellent in that OU game, and he's only going to keep getting better.
All right, Jake, that's going to do it for today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so already, if you've made it this far into the video, there's no reason for you not to be subscribed to the channel. So please help us move along and have another successful football season. That's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. You've been listening to All in Horns. As always, ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.